They thought humans were myths until we took the front line. Their ships came in waves, crushing planets and leaving colonies in ashes. The soldiers in the Alliance whispered stories about a strange race of fighters, humans. Many thought humans were myths. They were supposed to be extinct, or maybe just legends from the old galaxy. Nobody had seen them, but stories told of their courage and strange ways of fighting. Most officers dismissed the tales as fairy stories for children. Lucas Brown, a young officer stationed on the planet Thera, did not believe in myths. He had grown up hearing the stories too, but the war left little time for legends. He focused on reports and orders. Still, he noticed a pattern. Whenever a critical front line was about to fall, rumors spread about unknown soldiers holding their ground. Sometimes soldiers returned with strange scars or tales of beings who fought fearlessly. Lucas shrugged it off. War made soldiers see ghosts everywhere. On the edge of the Thera system, the Alliance had built a small defense post called Outpost Delta. It was meant to slow enemy attacks long enough for reinforcements to arrive. The post was under constant bombardment, and the soldiers inside were exhausted. Explosions shook the walls day and night. Ships overhead fired lasers that made the ground tremble. The enemy's fleet was massive, and everyone expected Outpost Delta to fall within hours. Emma Clark, a young civilian medic, worked tirelessly to treat the wounded. She had been sent from a nearby colony to help the military, though she had no combat training. Emma had never seen such devastation. Soldiers carried bodies that had been burned, cut, or crushed by debris. She tried to stay calm, but fear crept into her mind. She often stayed awake for long hours, patching wounds, giving water, and holding hands as people died. One evening, as explosions lit the horizon, Emma noticed something unusual. Enemy soldiers were retreating faster than expected. They did not retreat because they were defeated. Many were still in formation, and their weapons were intact. They retreated because they were afraid. She heard whispers from her fellow medics. What happened? Why did they pull back? Did something strike them? But no one knew. Lucas Brown had been sent to Outpost Delta to observe the defense. He arrived at night, his ship gliding through the cold, dark space. He stepped onto the planet and saw the aftermath of the latest bombardment. Craters scarred the ground. Smoke rose in thin columns. Wounded soldiers lay in makeshift shelters. He walked carefully, his boots crunching on debris. He asked a young soldier, Ryan, about the unusual retreat. Ryan was shaking, eyes wide. "Sir, it was them humans," Ryan whispered. "I saw them. They stood there and didn't fall. The enemy, they fired everything at them and the humans didn't die. They just kept fighting." Lucas frowned. "Humans?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, real humans. Tall, strong, their armor was all scratched and dented, but they moved like nothing could stop them. The enemy, they ran." Lucas felt a chill. He had never seen humans. He had always thought they were myths, old stories used to scare children into being brave. But he had been trained to report facts. If humans existed, he had to see them. Emma Clark worked nearby, cleaning wounds. She noticed something strange as well. Some enemy soldiers had injuries that looked like burns, but they weren't from weapons she knew. She had treated them and noticed that when they were healed, they would not return to fight. Instead, they went back in fear. She could not explain it. They ran like they had seen something impossible, she muttered to herself. The next morning, Lucas arranged a patrol to investigate. The team moved carefully across the battlefield, keeping low behind debris. As they approached the front lines, he saw them for the first time. A small group of soldiers standing alone in the open with no cover. Their armor was scratched, dented, and patched. They moved with precision and confidence. Every shot fired at them was dodged or absorbed. They were calm, almost smiling, as if the chaos around them meant nothing. One of them turned and met Lucas's gaze. It was a man, strong, with a scar across his cheek. His eyes were steady. Lucas felt an odd sense of respect mixed with fear. The man shouted orders and others moved to follow, even though enemy fire rained down. They attacked in ways Lucas had never seen, coordinated, unpredictable, yet controlled. Explosions that would have killed any other soldier barely slowed them down. Lucas could not move. He watched as one human soldier grabbed an enemy and pushed him into a trench. The enemy screamed, terrified. Another human soldier threw a makeshift explosive, taking out a squad advancing behind. The humans did not retreat. They did not hide. They advanced. Emma watched from the medic station, her hands frozen over bandages. She realized the humans were saving her soldiers, protecting them. Their courage was impossible. They did not fear death. They did not run. They only fought. After several hours, the enemy finally pulled back completely. Reports came in from other sections. "We saw humans," said one officer. "They held the line alone." Panic spread through the Alliance soldiers. Some were inspired, others confused. No one had prepared for this. Humans were supposed to be myths, not soldiers in the field. Lucas approached one of the humans carefully. The man's name was Daniel Ross, and he nodded at Lucas. "You're the officer, right? Stay out of the way if you want to survive," he said calmly. Lucas was amazed by the lack of fear in his voice. Daniel's team moved past, securing positions and treating injured allies without a medic. Emma finally managed to step outside. She approached the humans, noticing how organized they were. She saw a young woman, Caitlin Moore, who was treating a wounded soldier with no tools but her hands and determination. Caitlin looked up, smiled briefly, and returned to her work. Emma felt a strange warmth. These humans, they were unlike anything she had seen. Throughout the day, reports came in from neighboring sectors. Everywhere, humans appeared at the front lines, holding positions that were supposed to fall. They moved quickly, striking with strange tactics, disappearing and reappearing where needed. Soldiers began to whisper in awe. "They are real, humans are real." Lucas and Emma sat together that evening, exhausted. The sun was low, casting red light over the battle-scarred ground. "I never believed the stories," Lucas said quietly. "But now, I don't know what to think." "They are more than myths, they are something else," Emma nodded. "They don't fight like anyone else. They protect, they save, they don't care if they die, they just keep going." As night fell, the humans prepared for another attack. Lucas watched them silently. He had no orders, yet only questions. Were humans allies? How many were there? Could they really hold the line forever? He did not know, but one thing was certain. The Galactic Alliance had seen something impossible today. The humans were real. And they were standing at the front line. In the darkness, Lucas could hear faint voices from the human soldiers. They were calm, almost cheerful, joking quietly even under bombardment. It was a strange sight, seeing life and courage where death and fear should have been. Emma looked at Lucas. "Do you think they are heroes?" she asked. Lucas shook his head slowly. "I don't think heroes can fight like that. Maybe humans are, something we don't understand yet." Far away, the stars burned cold and bright. The enemy regrouped, preparing for the next assault. But somewhere on the front line, humans were ready. They were not afraid. They did not hide. They would not fall. And in the Alliance ranks, the whispers grew louder. Humans were no longer myths. They were real. And soon, everyone would know it the morning after the first human stand. The Alliance forces were restless. Whispers ran through every camp. Soldiers spoke of humans with awe and disbelief. Officers tried to focus on strategy, but even they could not ignore the reports. The humans had saved Outpost Delta, and no one could explain how. Lucas Brown walked along the makeshift barricades, checking the front lines. He noticed soldiers moving with more confidence than the day before. Morale had risen suddenly, but confusion lingered. People wanted to know more about these humans. Some tried to follow the trails of the soldiers who had fought, but the humans moved too fast, too precise. They seemed to appear wherever needed. Emma Clark worked in the field hospital, treating more wounded from the previous night's skirmishes. The enemy had not completely retreated. Small squads remained, testing the defenses. She watched as human soldiers moved with strange efficiency. One soldier, a young man named Ethan, carried an injured comrade from an exposed position without hesitation. His body moved fluidly, avoiding laser fire as if he could predict it. Emma could not understand how anyone could move like that. Lucas decided he needed to see more. He gathered a small observation team and moved closer to the front line. They came across a ruined building, smoke curling from its walls. Inside, they saw humans tending to injured Alliance soldiers. The humans spoke calmly, giving orders, healing the wounded and securing supplies. Nothing seemed to faze them. Daniel Ross noticed Lucas and waved him over. "Come closer, officer," he said. His voice was steady, firm, but not commanding. It was the kind of voice that made soldiers trust him. "You need to see how we operate if you are going to survive this war." Lucas stepped forward carefully. He could see the humans up close now. Their armor was battered, scratched, and dented. Some had missing plates patched with scraps of metal or fabric. Yet they moved as if nothing was wrong. Every motion was deliberate, efficient. They worked together in perfect coordination. No orders were wasted, no steps repeated. Lucas could see why the enemy had feared them. Caitlin Moore, a human medic, worked on a soldier with a serious wound. She did not flinch as lasers hit nearby. She moved quickly, applying pressure and securing bandages. She spoke softly to the wounded soldier, reassuring him. The soldier's eyes filled with tears, but he stayed calm. Lucas watched quietly, impressed. Humans did not panic under fire. They treated the wounded while fighting continued around them. Outside the building, Ethan and another human soldier advanced toward enemy positions. They did not rush blindly. They moved slowly, using cover when needed, scanning every corner. They threw small explosives with precision, clearing paths for retreating Alliance soldiers. The enemy fired repeatedly, but the humans did not falter. They seemed to anticipate every attack. Lucas could not hide his amazement. He had trained for years, but humans performed with skill he had never seen. Their strength, speed, and coordination were beyond normal, yet they were calm. They joked quietly among themselves, even as destruction raged around them. Their courage was impossible to ignore. Emma watched from a distance, amazed by their bravery. She had treated hundreds of wounded soldiers, but humans seemed to treat danger differently. They did not act recklessly, but they did not fear it. They understood risk, yet they chose to face it anyway. She realized humans were protecting not only themselves, but everyone around them. They were a shield for the Alliance soldiers. Lucas finally asked Daniel why humans fought this way. Daniel paused, looking over the battlefield. "We learned long ago," he said slowly, "that survival is not just about us. It is about others too. If we stand together, we protect more than ourselves. If we run, everyone suffers. Humans fight for survival, yes, but also for duty." Lucas nodded, trying to understand. The humans' approach was not like any Alliance training he had known. They did not rely on rules or strategy manuals. They relied on instinct, teamwork, and courage. It was simple, yet effective. The Alliance forces could not match it. Throughout the day, reports from nearby sectors confirmed what Lucas and Emma had witnessed. Humans appeared where the enemy had planned breakthroughs. They held bridges, outposts, and defensive positions alone when the Alliance had no soldiers left. They moved in ways that confused the enemy, striking quickly and disappearing before being targeted. Soldiers across the front line whispered about them, calling them legends finally come to life. Emma observed the wounded soldiers being carried by humans. Many had been injured by blasts that should have killed them instantly. Yet, humans rescued them, moving calmly under fire. Some soldiers began to follow the humans' methods, learning their quick, efficient ways. Morale grew, and even exhausted units found new courage. By evening, Lucas joined the humans at a temporary camp. He watched as they repaired their armor, cleaned their weapons, and prepared for the next wave. They worked quietly, no complaints, no fear. Daniel noticed Lucas watching and offered a simple explanation. "We do not fight for glory, we fight because we must. Tomorrow will come and we will still be here. That is enough." Lucas felt a mix of admiration and doubt. How could a small group of humans hold so much power over the battlefield? The enemy was vast, with numbers and weapons far beyond what humans had. Yet humans continued to push forward, taking positions no one else could. Emma stayed nearby, helping the humans tend to minor injuries. She noticed Kaitlin working tirelessly, giving water and bandages. "How do you do it?" Emma asked quietly. Kaitlin smiled faintly. "We do what must be done. Fear does not help anyone. Pain does not stop us. We move forward." The night brought a strange calm over the battlefield. Stars shone in the sky, but below, the humans continued their quiet work. They shared rations, checked each other's armor, and kept watch. Lucas and Emma realized that humans were different. They did not just survive, they created order in chaos. They were organized, fearless, and kind. Suddenly, the alarm sounded. Enemy scouts had returned, probing the front line. Lucas watched as humans moved without hesitation. Ethan and two others ran toward the scouts, not to retreat, but to intercept. They fought swiftly, disabling the enemy units without risking themselves unnecessarily. The Alliance soldiers began to cheer quietly. Humans were not just fighters, they were teachers, showing them how to survive under impossible conditions. Emma's heart raced as she treated another injured soldier. She realized humans were not superheroes or myths, they were real. They were alive, breathing, and standing where no one else dared. Their presence changed everything. Soldiers began to hold positions they had thought impossible. The humans had given hope, something the Alliance had almost forgotten. Lucas finally understood what was happening. Humans were not just soldiers, they were the turning point of the war. They did not rely on technology alone. They relied on courage, instinct, and teamwork. The Alliance had weapons, ships, and numbers, but humans had something more. They had the will to fight when all seemed lost. As dawn approached, the humans prepared for another attack. Daniel gathered his team and spoke quietly. "Tomorrow, the enemy will come harder. They will test us. But we hold the line, not for glory, not for recognition. We hold it because it must be held." Lucas and Emma watched silently. The humans moved with calm determination, checking each weapon, each soldier, each supply. They were ready. The enemy would return, but humans did not fear them. They faced them with quiet confidence, turning chaos into order. Throughout the camp, Alliance soldiers whispered in awe. "They are real, humans are real." Some laughed nervously. Others cried quietly. Everyone had seen it. The myths had come alive. The stories were true. Humans existed, and they were standing at the front line, where no one else could. As the sun rose fully over the battlefield, Lucas realized that the war had changed. Humans were no longer legends. They were the force that would hold the line. The Alliance could follow, adapt, and learn, but the humans had shown what it meant to fight without fear. Emma looked at Lucas. "Do you think they can win?" she asked. Lucas shook his head slowly. "I don't know if anyone can win this war yet, but humans can survive. And when humans survive, maybe everyone else can too." The humans, unaware of the whispers behind them, continued their work. Armor repaired, weapons checked, positions reinforced. They moved as one unit, calm and prepared. No one else could match their courage or efficiency. They had arrived at the front line, and the galaxy would never forget it. The day ended with the humans holding their positions firmly. Enemy forces retreated slightly, confused and wary. The Alliance forces were encouraged, inspired by the humans' skill and bravery. Hope had returned, fragile but real. Lucas and Emma watched as humans sat quietly, sharing rations, tending to their own wounds and preparing for the next attack. And across the front line, soldiers whispered again. "They thought humans were myths, but we just saw them fight." The war had a new reality now. Humans were here, and they had changed everything. The next day began with an uneasy calm. The enemy had retreated slightly after seeing the humans hold the line. Alliance soldiers were exhausted, but their spirits were higher. Rumors of humans spread across the ranks like wildfire. Everyone wanted to see them, to follow them, to understand how they could stand against impossible odds. Lucas Brown walked through the front line, checking positions. He could see Alliance soldiers preparing for another attack. They moved faster, more confident. Some were trying to imitate the humans, copying the way they used cover, how they coordinated, how they moved together. Morale had changed because humans had shown what courage looked like. Emma Clark worked tirelessly in the field hospital. Wounded soldiers continued to arrive, some from minor skirmishes, others from small enemy raids. She noticed the humans moving quietly among them, helping, carrying, healing, and giving words of reassurance. They never paused, never complained. Each human worked calmly, as if they had trained for years to survive under fire. Outside the hospital, Daniel Ross and Kaitlin Moore led a small group toward a forward position. They moved quickly and silently, using debris and ruined buildings as cover. Lucas and his observation team followed at a distance. He wanted to learn from them, to see what made humans so different. The humans approached a ruined communications tower. The enemy had set traps around it, expecting Alliance soldiers to fall. Humans did not hesitate. Ethan and another soldier ran ahead, disarming traps with careful hands. Explosions went off around them, but they continued without panic. Lucas felt a strange mixture of fear and admiration. He had never seen soldiers so calm under fire. Inside the tower, the humans began restoring communications. Kaitlin and another medic worked on injured civilians trapped inside. They moved efficiently, speaking quietly, giving instructions and support. The civilians looked at them with awe. They had never seen anyone so brave. The humans did not ask for praise, but their courage inspired everyone around them. Emma watched the scene from a safe distance. She noticed that humans treated everyone equally: soldiers, medics, civilians. Their focus was on survival and protection. They did not choose who deserved help, they simply acted. She realized that humans were not just fighters, they were teachers of courage and unity. Daniel noticed Lucas watching. He approached and spoke quietly. "You want to know why we do this, officer?" he asked. Lucas nodded. Daniel smiled faintly. "We fight because it is right. We do not seek reward or glory. We protect because someone must. The line must hold, and we are here to hold it." Lucas tried to absorb the words. He had heard them before in different forms, in training manuals and speeches. But humans lived them. They did not just say it, they acted on it without hesitation. Their courage was simple, direct, and real. It was unlike anything he had ever witnessed in his military career. Outside, the enemy advanced again. Small squads tested the humans' positions, hoping to find weaknesses. But humans did not falter. They met each attack with calm precision. They did not hide, they did not panic. They adapted to each move, striking at the right moment and falling back when necessary, always maintaining control. Lucas observed Ethan as he engaged a small enemy squad. Every move was calculated, precise. He disarmed traps, disabled enemies, and secured civilians without hesitation. The humans' coordination was flawless. Each soldier knew what the others would do, and they acted as one unit. It was almost as if they could read each other's thoughts. Emma ran to help a wounded soldier near the edge of the battlefield. A human soldier, Riley, appeared beside her, carrying another injured man. He handed the soldier to Emma without a word and continued toward the front line. Lucas watched the interaction, impressed by the humans' efficiency and selflessness. They worked tirelessly, never stopping, never questioning. Throughout the day, Alliance soldiers began to imitate the humans' tactics. They moved more carefully, covered each other better, and treated the wounded faster. Morale rose sharply. Humans were not just fighting, they were changing the way the war was fought. At midday, Daniel gathered his team and spoke quietly. The enemy will test us more today. They think we are just soldiers, but we are more. We fight for duty, not for ourselves. Hold the line. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Nothing else matters. Lucas felt a deep respect for the humans. He had seen soldiers fight before, but never like this. They did not fear death. They did not seek glory. They simply acted with courage and purpose. The Alliance had weapons and numbers, but humans had willpower and unity. That made them unstoppable. Emma watched Caitlin treat a young boy who had been trapped in rubble. The boy was crying, scared, and injured. Caitlin held him calmly, speaking softly, reassuring him. The boy stopped crying, looking at her with trust. Emma realized that humans gave more than protection. They gave hope. They made others brave by their presence alone. As evening approached, enemy forces launched a major assault. Lasers and explosions filled the sky. Alliance soldiers were terrified, but humans did not falter. They advanced into the chaos, holding bridges, clearing trenches, and protecting civilians. Lucas followed at a safe distance, amazed by their skill. Every move the humans made was precise, deliberate, and effective. Emma treated wounded soldiers, often working side by side with humans. She noticed their methods were simple but effective. Humans did not rely on complex machines or weapons. They relied on strategy, observation, and instinct. They acted quickly, saving lives without hesitation. Emma felt inspired. Humans made her believe that even in the darkest moments, courage could prevail. Daniel and Caitlin led their team to the central plaza of the Frontline. The enemy had concentrated their attack there, expecting to break the Alliance. Humans arrived first, positioning themselves strategically. They did not wait for orders. They acted. Ethan and Riley disarmed traps and disabled enemy squads with speed and precision. Civilians and Alliance soldiers watched in awe. The enemy retreated again, confused and frustrated. They could not understand how humans moved, how they fought, or how they seemed to anticipate every attack. Whispers spread through the ranks. They are not like anyone we have ever seen. How can humans survive like this? We thought they were myths. Lucas and Emma regrouped with humans as night fell. The battlefield was quiet now, but only temporarily. Humans checked weapons, patched armor, and treated the wounded. They moved with calm efficiency. Nothing distracted them. They were ready for the next attack. Lucas finally asked Daniel, "How can you keep going? The enemy is too strong, your team is too small." Daniel smiled faintly. "We do not fight because we will win. We fight because we must. The line must hold. If we fall, everyone else suffers. We protect, we endure, we fight." "That is enough." Emma watched Caitlin give water to a young Alliance soldier. "They are fearless," she whispered. "But it is not just fearlessness, it is purpose. They know why they fight, and that makes them stronger than any weapon." Lucas nodded slowly. He realized the humans were changing the war. Their courage inspired the Alliance soldiers, teaching them to move, act, and survive. Humans were not only warriors, they were leaders by example. Throughout the night, humans remained vigilant. They patrolled the front line, repaired defenses, and treated the wounded. They spoke quietly among themselves, but their presence was enough to reassure everyone nearby. Alliance soldiers slept easier knowing humans were there, holding the line. By morning, humans had reinforced key positions. The enemy returned in force, but humans met them without hesitation. They pushed the attackers back, saving Alliance units that would have been destroyed. Soldiers began to follow the humans' lead, moving with more confidence and skill. Hope was returning, fragile but real. Emma looked at Lucas. "Do you think humans are immortal?" she asked quietly. Lucas shook his head. "No, they are real human and they can die. But they fight like nothing else matters. That is what makes them unstoppable." As the day ended, humans continued their work. They moved calmly through chaos, treating the wounded, holding positions, and inspiring everyone around them. The enemy had learned fear. The Alliance had learned courage. The humans had changed everything. And throughout the galaxy, whispers continued. They thought humans were myths, but now we know they are real. The war had a new reality. Humans were not only fighting, they were teaching, inspiring, and leading. The Frontline had found its guardians, and they were humans the day after the humans had held the Frontline again. The Galactic Alliance officers were in a state of disbelief. Reports came in from every sector. Wherever humans appeared, enemy attacks failed. Lucas Brown studied the reports, trying to understand how a handful of humans could change the course of battles that had seemed hopeless. Everywhere, soldiers spoke in hushed tones of the humans' courage and skill. The myth of humanity had become undeniable reality. Emma Clark worked in the field hospital. She treated dozens of soldiers wounded in the latest skirmishes. Yet every time she looked outside, she saw humans moving across the battlefield as if nothing could harm them. Daniel Ross led his unit toward a shattered bridge that was key to controlling the sector. Caitlin Moore followed, ensuring no one was left behind. Ethan, Riley, and others moved swiftly, disarming traps and securing the area. Lucas followed cautiously, notebook in hand, documenting everything. The humans reached the bridge just as enemy forces appeared from behind a ruined building. They had expected the humans to be overwhelmed, but humans advanced steadily. Lucas watched, amazed, as Daniel ordered his soldiers to flank the attackers. Within seconds, the humans had turned the battle, forcing enemy squads to retreat. Explosions shook the bridge, but humans continued without fear. Their calm precision inspired the Alliance soldiers nearby. Emma ran to help a wounded civilian, but a human soldier was already there, lifting the injured person with ease. The human handed the civilian to Emma without a word, then returned to the fight. Lucas could not take his eyes off them. Humans were moving like shadows, efficient, fearless, and determined. Every attack seemed planned but also natural. They reacted instinctively, perfectly. As the day continued, Lucas finally approached Daniel. "How can you keep going?" he asked. "Your team is small. The enemy is too strong. How do you survive?" Daniel looked over the battlefield calmly. "We survive because we must. The line must hold. It is not about numbers or weapons. It is about action. If we fall, everyone else suffers. So we move forward, we fight. That is enough." Lucas nodded slowly. He was starting to understand. Humans did not fight for glory or recognition. They fought for duty. Every step, every action, every decision was guided by purpose, not fear. He had never seen such discipline mixed with courage in anyone before. Emma watched Caitlin working on wounded soldiers nearby. The medic moved quickly, efficiently, calmly. She spoke softly, reassuring everyone. "You will be fine," Caitlin said to a young soldier. "Stay with me. We will get through this." Emma realized humans did not just fight, they inspired courage in others by example. Soldiers watched them and learned bravery through observation, not lectures. The enemy launched a concentrated assault on the bridge. Heavy lasers and explosives shook the ground. Alliance soldiers panicked, unsure how to respond. Humans did not hesitate. Daniel and his team charged into the fray, meeting the enemy head-on. Ethan and Riley moved to flank the attackers, disabling traps and securing civilians at the same time. Lucas could barely believe what he was seeing. The humans' coordination was perfect. Every human acted with precision, anticipating each enemy move. They were fast, strong, and focused. Alliance soldiers nearby began to follow their lead. Morale rose instantly. The humans' courage spread like a wave. Fear gave way to determination. The front line that had seemed doomed now held firmly. Emma assisted with the wounded, but she noticed something remarkable. Humans treated the injured with the same calm focus as they used in battle. Nothing distracted them. A soldier could be dying at their feet and they would not panic. They would act. They would save lives. Emma realized humans were fearless, not because they could not feel pain or fear, but because their purpose was stronger than both. As evening approached, the enemy attempted one last push. They sent elite squads with powerful weapons, hoping to overwhelm the humans. Daniel called his soldiers together. "Hold your positions," he said quietly. "We are the shield. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Nothing else matters. Move with purpose. Move together." Lucas watched as humans advanced into the enemy ranks. They moved like one being. No hesitation, no mistakes. Every attack was coordinated, every defense perfect. Alliance soldiers followed their lead, learning to act without fear. Emma noticed soldiers stopping to help each other, giving water, covering fire, inspired by the humans. The battle was fierce. Explosions, lasers, and screams filled the air. Yet humans never faltered. Kaitlin moved through the chaos, treating the wounded and guiding soldiers to safety. Ethan and Riley disarmed traps while fighting off attackers. Daniel held the front line, commanding without shouting, controlling the fight with calm precision. Slowly, the enemy began to retreat. They had underestimated humans. Their weapons, numbers, and tactics were useless against soldiers who fought with purpose and unity. Alliance soldiers cheered quietly, amazed and inspired. Humans had not only defended the bridge, they had changed the battlefield. Lucas approached Daniel again. "How do you keep so calm?" he asked. "The enemy is huge. Anyone else would panic." Daniel smiled faintly. "We do not fight for ourselves. We fight because it is needed. Fear does not help anyone. Courage does not come from not being afraid. It comes from moving forward anyway. The line must hold. That is all that matters." Emma looked at Kaitlin, who was bandaging a young soldier's arm. "They are more than soldiers," Emma whispered. "They are teachers. They show everyone else how to be brave." Daniel gathered his soldiers after the battle. They checked weapons, patched armor, and treated each other's wounds. Their calm efficiency impressed everyone watching. Lucas realized humans did not stop when the fight ended. They prepared for the next one, always ready, always vigilant. Throughout the night, humans patrolled the front line. Alliance soldiers followed cautiously, learning their techniques. The humans moved quietly, watching, protecting, and teaching by example. The enemy dared not return. Wherever humans stood, the line held. Emma rested briefly, exhausted, but she could not stop thinking about the humans. They were ordinary in some ways, tired, injured, and human, but their actions were extraordinary. Courage, purpose, teamwork, and calmness made them unstoppable. She realized the galaxy had never seen anything like them. Lucas recorded his notes. He had seen enough to know humans were not myths. They were real, and they were the turning point of the war. Alliance forces could no longer fight without them. Humans had changed the battlefield, teaching courage, hope, and determination. By morning, humans had reinforced key positions across the sector. They moved swiftly, treating the wounded, checking weapons, and organizing the defense. The enemy returned in force, but humans met them with the same calm determination. They did not flinch, they did not hesitate. They fought with purpose, protecting everyone around them. Emma looked at Lucas. "Do you think humans can hold the line forever?" she asked quietly. Lucas shook his head slowly. "I don't know. But I know this, they do not fight for themselves. They fight for everyone. That is why they are unstoppable." Throughout the front line, soldiers whispered in awe. They thought humans were myths, but now we know they are real. The battle had changed. Humans were no longer just fighters. They were the heart of the front line. The galaxy had finally learned the truth. Humans were not to be feared because of weapons or power. They were to be respected because of their courage, purpose, and unity. And as humans patrolled the silent battlefield that night, preparing for the next attack, Lucas and Emma realized something deeper. Humans did not fight to survive. They fought so others could survive. They were the shield of the galaxy. The war had a new hope. Humans were real, and they would not fall. The morning was quiet, but Lucas Brown knew it would not last. The enemy had regrouped after their repeated failures. Reports indicated a massive force moving toward the front line. Entire fleets were coming, hoping to crush the humans and the Alliance once and for all. Everyone was tense. Soldiers whispered nervously, remembering the humans' previous victories. They had held impossible positions before. Could they do it again? Emma Clark worked in the field hospital, preparing for a wave of wounded. The humans had organized everything efficiently. Daniel Ross and Kaitlin Moore had divided their team into groups. Some would patrol, some would defend key points, some would assist in the hospital. Emma watched as they moved calmly, checking weapons, repairing armor, and speaking quietly to each other. They were ready. Lucas followed Daniel and his team to the front lines. The humans did not march. They moved steadily, deliberately, like a river flowing toward its goal. Ethan and Riley flanked ahead, scouting enemy positions. Kaitlin and other medics stayed near the front line, prepared to treat anyone injured. Lucas felt a strange mixture of fear and admiration. Humans were not reckless, yet they did not hesitate. As the enemy appeared on the horizon, their numbers overwhelming, Alliance soldiers began to panic. Lucas saw fear in their eyes, but the humans stood firm. Daniel called his team together. "Hold your positions," he said calmly. "We are the shield. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Stay together, move with purpose, that is all." The enemy attacked fiercely. Lasers streaked across the sky. Explosions shook the ground. Alliance soldiers fell back in panic. But humans advanced, meeting the attackers with precision. Ethan and Riley disarmed traps and disabled enemy squads while moving quickly. Each human acted with perfect coordination. They anticipated every enemy move, covering each other and protecting the wounded. Emma ran to help a soldier hit by a blast, but Riley was already there. He lifted the soldier carefully and handed him to Emma. Then he moved back to the fight without hesitation. Lucas could hardly believe what he was seeing. Humans moved like a single unit, strong, fearless, and disciplined. They did not stop, did not hesitate, and never wavered. The battle raged through the day. Humans held every key position. Bridges, streets, outposts, anywhere the enemy tried to advance, humans were there first. Daniel led charges, guiding his team with calm commands. Ethan and Kaitlin moved among the wounded, treating them efficiently, saving countless lives. Alliance soldiers watched, inspired. Fear became courage. Hopelessness became determination. Lucas finally approached Daniel amid the chaos. "How do you keep so calm?" he asked. "The enemy is huge. Your team is small." Daniel looked over the battlefield, eyes steady. "We do not fight because we will win. We fight because it must be done. The line must hold." Fear does not help. Courage comes from action. We fight for everyone around us, not ourselves. That is all that matters. Emma watched Kaitlin treat a young soldier who had been caught in debris. The boy was terrified, but Kaitlin's calmness reassured him. "You will be fine," she said softly. "Stay with me." The boy's eyes filled with trust, and he stayed still. Emma realized humans inspired hope in others simply by being brave and calm. As night fell, the enemy made a final desperate push. Their attacks were stronger, faster, and more coordinated. Alliance soldiers began to falter, but humans did not. Daniel and his team advanced into the fray, holding bridges, clearing streets, and shielding civilians. Ethan and Riley moved ahead, disabling traps, fighting enemies, and rescuing wounded. Kaitlin and other medics treated the injured while staying in harm's way. Lucas realized the humans were more than fighters. They were leaders, protectors, and teachers. Every move inspired Alliance soldiers to fight, to stay, to survive. Fear was replaced with determination. Hopeless soldiers now had hope. The humans' courage was contagious. Slowly, the enemy began to retreat. They could not understand how humans moved, how they fought, how they seemed to anticipate every attack. Whispers ran through the ranks. They are real, humans are real. They do not fear death. They protect everyone, not just themselves. Emma breathed heavily, exhausted but amazed. She had treated hundreds of wounded soldiers, but humans had saved more lives than she could count. They did not stop for fear, pain, or exhaustion. They moved with calm purpose, protecting everyone around them. She realized humans were ordinary in some ways, tired, hungry, and human, but their actions were extraordinary. Lucas followed Daniel to a high point overlooking the battlefield. "You have changed everything," he said quietly. "Without you, this line would have fallen." Daniel looked over the battlefield. "We did not change everything alone. Humans are part of this, yes, but courage spreads. People see it, learn it, act on it. We fight because it must be done. If the line holds, everyone else survives. That is enough." As dawn approached, the battlefield was quiet. Humans had held every key position. Alliance soldiers were exhausted but alive. Civilians were safe. The enemy had retreated, beaten for the first time in weeks. Whispers of humans spread across the galaxy. Myths had become reality. Humans were real and they had held the front line. Emma looked at Caitlin, who was quietly helping injured soldiers and civilians. "They are more than heroes," she said softly. "They are the heart of this war." Lucas nodded. He realized that humans did not just fight. They taught, inspired, and led by example. Courage, purpose, and unity were their weapons, stronger than any laser or ship. Daniel gathered his team one last time. They checked weapons, patched armor, and treated each other's wounds. Their calm efficiency impressed everyone watching. They did not seek glory. They did not boast. They simply prepared for the next challenge as if nothing else mattered. Throughout the galaxy, reports spread. Humans were no longer myths. They were the frontline defenders, the shield of the Alliance, the guardians who could inspire hope and courage in everyone around them. Lucas and Emma watched quietly as humans moved among the wounded, carrying, helping, and preparing for the next fight. They realized something important. Humans did not fight to win for themselves. They fought so others could survive. They gave courage where fear had reigned, hope where hopelessness had ruled. The war had a new reality. Humans were not only fighters, they were the heart and soul of the frontline. The Alliance could survive because humans stood unshaken, fearless, and determined. Emma whispered to Lucas, "Do you think they will ever fall?" Lucas shook his head slowly. "I do not know. They are human, they can die, but their courage, their purpose, that cannot be destroyed. The galaxy will never forget them." As the sun rose, humans prepared quietly for the next wave. Alliance soldiers followed, inspired and ready. The enemy had learned fear, but the Alliance had learned courage. Humans had shown what it meant to fight not for yourself, but for everyone else. And throughout the galaxy, whispers grew into stories. They thought humans were myths, but we have seen them stand. We have seen them fight. We have seen them protect everything we hold dear. The frontline had found its guardians. They were humans, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Hope had returned. Courage had returned. Humans had arrived, and nothing would ever be forgotten. The war would continue, but now the Alliance knew this truth. Wherever humans stood, the line would hold and life would endure. The humans had changed everything.